How often do we hear about teenagers nowadays being lazy, selfish, overly consumed by technology and social media? What really gets to me, and I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for the greater part of us teenagers, is when adults say that we don't work hard enough, that we have too much free time on our hands, and that we know little to nothing about workload and stress. Well, you wanna know what I think about that? It's complete Ali, stop!
Sorry.
It's complete rubbish. Welcome to a not-so-rich Richview Collegiate Institute. This non-semester school has it all. Well, almost. From academics to extracurriculars to the group of people that are so looked down upon in society. Teenagers.
Don't know why I have to drive so fast. My car has nothing to prove. It's not you.
How often do our parents, scratch that, adults in general, say that present-day teenagers are irresponsible, ungrateful, and have zero to no work ethic? That's right. They say things like these all the time. More so, they seem to find some sort of enjoyment in putting us down by comparing us to them when they were our age. Let's rewind. Just look how happy these students look when they walk into their classes. Now, look how excited these Richview students seem. Okay, all jokes aside, there's a reason, or multiple reasons I should say, as to why these Richview students don't seem so delighted to get to class. There's something on their mind, something that's on their mind throughout the entire school year. Something that often makes them want to rip out their hair.
Period 1. A few pages of math homework and a quiz next class. Not too bad, right? Period 2. A biology lab to complete for the next class. Still doable, right? Period 3. Physics. And period 4. Chemistry. Oh yeah, the next day we have 4 different classes, which means more homework. Oh, how we all wish we had spares.
Now, complaining about homework doesn't seem like a solid reason to be stressing out, and it shouldn't be. It's, however, the many other things that we do and participate in that take up a large portion of our time. It's not just us teenagers who feel overwhelmed by the workload and the stress it seems to bring with it. Parents and other family members seem to be impacted as well.
3 nights a week, we have to take the books out of her hands to turn the light off to go to sleep. And we can sort of see, when I get home, where the placement of the jacket is on the floor and the book bag. There, I can tell how everyone's day was.
Apart from the obvious schoolwork taking up our time, we're also occupied with extracurricular activities, volunteering, and part-time jobs. On top of that, the transition forward is made even more stressful for teenagers because of our current workload. Whether it's heading off to post-secondary or the next grade in high school, teenagers would be lying if they said that they feel 100% confident in tackling next year's workload. Now, enough thoughts from just one voice. Let's hear what our Richview students and staff have to say about teenage workload and stress.
Do you think that students have too heavy of a workload?
Yeah, I definitely think so because, it's not just school that students have to take care of. There are still extracurricular activities inside and outside of school, and people participate in many of those. And universities aren't just looking for grades, but they're looking for their extracurricular.
So the workload, I find, it's a big workload, and I try to manage it between sports and work, and I know a lot of people do also. So, but if it was less of a workload, I think it'd be a lot easier.
I do, especially now with summer season. It's horrible. We have like 5 or 6 sumnips, and then we have like 50 and not 50, but like 5 exams, and it's just way too much work for all of us.
Yeah, I definitely feel that teenagers do have too heavy of a workload to deal with because nowadays teachers, they just like to decide to pile everything up against everyone. So they, I guess in a way, they kind of, obviously we all have units and stuff, but all the test dates and all the assignments, they're all due generally at the same time, which is very difficult to cope with sometimes.
How does your current workload affect you?
Well, I wouldn't really say it affects it positively. I think it would definitely be negatively because it's really stressful with the amount of homework that teachers assign, because they kind of assume that we concentrate on their one class and they don't understand we have 8, 7 other courses, and we're all getting the same amount from every teacher, and it's actually a crazy amount and no one has time for it.
Especially now, either in the winter months there's hockey and in the summer months there's soccer, but after school there's a lot of work to do. And I find myself staying up late, finishing projects or finishing work, because there's just not enough time to do it all. I mean, if you could do most of it in a time frame of a few weeks in summer school, you should be able to do that less of a workload in school.
It stresses me out mostly. It's like, now that we're getting to summer season, it's really, really bad. Like, I have no time to do anything else, like no social events or anything like that, and it's just all work every single day. It's horrible.
I'd say that has a negative impact on me because generally I like being athletic, I like hanging out with my friends, I do have a life. So this entire workload and everything, it's like, all because it's all on one, it takes away the time I would have to sleep, to hang out with my friends, or generally just to do anything.
How do you cope with your stress, and do you think there's anything that the teachers or school can do to help improve your situation?
Well, with stress, I guess what you really do is just you get really stressful, so your emotions are just crazy all over the place. So actually, I feel that working out helps with that. So with football, it's a good way to get your anger out, and it really boosts your endorphins. So when you're done, you're just so much happier, and you're able to concentrate on the work, and then I just focus on what's most important.
Well, I try to divide my time between working on different subjects. I try to divide it evenly so that I can get all the work done. The teachers should maybe give a little bit less homework, try do more work in class, maybe spend the last 15 minutes working on it, because I know a lot of teachers like to go right to the end.
I'd say that for me coping with that, I generally just like play sports or do extracurricular activities, just like get out like the anger that you may have, or like the stress level, like sleeping on something may be good even though you may not have time to do so.
Only 5 of Richview's over 1,000 students, but all very similar responses. Current teenage workload is simply too much. It seems to be negatively impacting students. And what about our educators, our teachers, our friends in one sense, and our enemies in another?
When assigning work or giving a date for an evaluation, do teachers try to work around the calendar, giving students the chance to perform to their fullest?
I think some of us would try our best to do that. With that being said, I know there are times when you guys are swamped with work and it's coming in from all your different teachers and all your different subjects at one time. I think we could do a better job of collaborating with each other and saying, like, when are you giving this? Okay, that's good, so I can give it on this day. With that being said, I think anyone in my class can attest to the fact that I am pretty generous about moving dates based on what the class wants. I pretty much always take a vote on when assignment should be due.
It depends on the teachers. If you have a group of teachers that work very well as a team, then yes, they do. They will work together to ensure that they have collaborated well. If you have a school where teachers are not collaborating, then no, that wouldn't happen. At Richview, we actually do try to collaborate with each other. We do have a board where we're supposed to put our major assessment pieces on. Not everyone puts it on, so that is problematic. However, there is an attempt to do so.
Do you think that all teachers should make more of an effort to help alleviate students of their workload?
I think so. I think if we all make that effort together, if it reduces overall 30 minutes to 1 hour of homework a night, it's probably a good thing. I don't know if it's because I'm young or I just came out, like high school wasn't that long ago for me, but I do know how stressful it can get sometimes with having way too much homework piled up on you to the point where it's like you can't get a good night's rest, or you feel like you can't even go home and watch a TV show, or you can't watch a movie or just relax. I try and limit homework as much as I can.
It's comforting to know that teachers are aware of the stress being put on their students and that they try to lighten the workload. Still, it's evident that more could be done. And finally, why not an opinion from the person running our school, the big shot, the top dog, the governor, the one, the only, principal of Richview, Mr. Michelli.
How often do students approach you with complaints of schoolwork or evaluation dates?
The answer to that question would be regularly, not an overwhelming amount, but regular, and it goes in cycles, usually just before a reporting period.
Do you think that the school or teachers perhaps can do anything at all to help lighten the student workload?
They can, and they do, and we have, and I can give you examples of it. But, you know, part of our mission is to prepare you for the next step. And if our goal was only to lighten your student workload and not give you opportunities to demonstrate skills and knowledge, I don't know how successful you'd be and we'd be in getting you into and helping you survive first-year post-secondary studies. But to answer your question more in the short run, what they do to ensure that it's a proper balance of stress and workload is to plan the year out ahead by backwards mapping.
You personally, do you prefer Richie as a non-semester school, or would you like it better if the school were semester?
Personally, professionally, for my own sons, as a teacher, as a department head, as administrator, easy answer, non-semestered.
My apologies for stating the obvious yet again, but it is more than clear that teenagers are having to deal with too big of a workload. With schoolwork being only one of the many things that have to be accomplished in a student's tight schedule, we teens find ourselves quickly overwhelmed. All this work results in irregular sleep schedules, which is anything but healthy. According to the National Sleep Foundation, teenagers need a minimum of 9 hours of sleep a night. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? It seems that on our list of important things to do, sleep somehow finds itself at the bottom. This excessive workload brings with it abnormal levels of stress. At our non-semester school, several different evaluations are often crammed in a span of only 1 week, and the stress begins to toy with our emotions and mental health. It's true that students find ways to deal with their stress, but the question is, how to deal with the workload? It takes no Einstein to figure this out. If teenage students receive a lesser workload, their performance in school would improve. A counter-argument to this would be that with less work, students would further be encouraged to slack off. But in truth, with a slightly lesser workload, we would have more time to complete tasks with quality. Teachers at Richview can help out by better understanding that their teenage students have to deal with assigned work from 7 other classes, on top of theirs. Teachers can also better collaborate with each other when assigning due dates or dates for evaluations. It's not all on the teachers, however. It's true that many teens thoughtlessly leave their work to the last minute. So to do our part, we should learn to better manage our time. But that's already a work in progress with our current workload. As for the school as a whole, maybe, just maybe, Richview should consider switching to semestered. It's what many students seem to prefer. Now, this hasn't just been a rant on how much homework students get, but rather an eye-opener to those who believe that teenagers know nothing about workload. As it turns out, we do know a thing or two about it. As for stress, saying that teenagers have nothing to worry about in their daily lives is like saying that the sky is neon pink. And I don't think I have to say this again, but I will just for the sake of it. A decreased workload for teenage students will lead to a better performance overall by them. If all this has sunk in, well, then I guess my job here is done.